Today I just want to do a quick talk about the herbs that we offer here. And I think it's an appropriate time to talk about this because we are getting close to the season in which we can plant these. A lot of these plants are actually very hardy, but what I have is hardiness related things that will be perennialized in your garden, things that are semi-perennial, and things of course that are not completely hardy. So let's start with actually the non-hardy material. I just want to show you closely this beautiful rosemary shrub. And a lot of these plants are from the Mediterranean, and many of them are perennial by nature, but of course we don't live in the Mediterranean, and we do have a much colder winter. But you can get some of these plants more sizable. So let's start with rosemary. A lot of these plants like good drainage. They do well both in containers as well as in the ground. Just some quick tips. Most of these, or all of these I would say, need full sun, at least nighttime temperatures above 40 degrees, which we're almost there here in the Northeast. We have multiple assortments of different varieties as well, which is great. Even if you're just looking to shop and just take a few cuttings from a potted plant, it's still better than some of the stuff you get at the grocery store. So here's a rosemary plant. A little trick with trying to overwinter some of these non-hardy things is you can bring them inside. It is challenging, but what you need is, if you have the luxury of a space that is cool, preferably a space that does not freeze. Maybe a garage would be too dark for them. But if you have an attached porch that you could lightly heat, you could easily get a specimen to this size. Next is the bay laurel, again very hardy. I could plant it out in the garden right now. I just have to watch and bring it back inside before the nighttime temperatures get below freezing. Lavender, I don't have great luck with perennializing this plant. Some people do here, but I think what you need to do is find a little microclimate in your yard, perhaps buy your southern facing exposure in your home. Other tricks I've heard is to put a pot or terracotta pot over the plant during the winter months to just protect it. Lemongrass, used in a lot of Asian cuisine. Very not hardy. Maybe I'd postpone on planting this a little sooner, maybe in the warmer weather. I think I've read that they like nighttime temperatures above 50 degrees, but again, pretty tough, and they can become sizable grasses. Very beautiful too. There are some things that are typically hardy, but in their true forms, these are variegated forms of thyme and sages, and I don't have luck with perennializing them. Again, they're tough, but I wouldn't rely on them coming back. We'll talk more about when we get over there. Basil, some of our transplant plugs are still young. Basil is not hardy. Again, likes the warmer temperature, so probably in the next 4 weeks, I'd advise planting this out. And then we come in the middle range. Parsley, very tough, something you could plant out early, but is truly a biennial, so it has a 2-year lifespan. It will flower for you. Once it flowers, it dies, but you get a lot of fresh garnishes from it. Chamomile is more of an annual, kind of wants to seed itself around. I wouldn't rely on this coming back year after year, but maybe a year or two. Okay, moving on to our stuff that's certainly hardy. It comes back very easily. Let's start with English thyme. It is a small shrub. Again, the green versions are much more hardy than its variegated form. Here's the lemon one. Great ground cover. There are different species of thyme that you could plant between rocks and crevices, even in alpine gardens. Lovely fragrance and great for fresh cuts. Greek oregano, there's also Italian oregano, again tough, beautiful colors and flowers for both of them. Great pollinator. All of these are great pollinator plants. Most of them are in the mint family, so pollinators go crazy. Also, a little side note, the deer don't bother most of these, except for of course parsley. Everything loves parsley, but they won't bother a lot of the other mint family stuff. Just because of the odor and the fragrance, it's too much for them. Great ground cover. There's two that are great, but I'd be very wary of planting in the ground, are mints. So this is peppermint, and this is just regular mint, also known as Kentucky. This is Kentucky Kernel, the variety. I would put them either in a container that's not near the ground, or I've even seen them in hanging baskets. Look wonderful, beautiful flowers, great to put in beverages or fruit items. I love mint, but be careful, it will take over your yard. The only sage I found hardy is the variegated sage. That comes back relatively reliably compared again to its variegated and other colored forms. With beautiful, lovely foliage. Bronze fennel. I love using fennel as an ornamental in the garden. They have such gorgeous yellow umbels or flowers, great for pollinators. Warning though, it is aggressive. It will self-seed in your garden, but it has such a nice lacy texture. It pairs well with a lot of the bigger, coarser textured plants in your garden. And also, the yellow swallowtail larvae feed on this plant. So sometimes you're lucky, you will see some larvae on there and some butterflies. And then the last two, catmint. This is a perennial. It's actually a Nepeta, so a lot of us have seen other catnips for ornamental varieties. Again, great for your feline friend. And then another one is bee balm. Looks almost very similar. It's in the same family. And this is an herbaceous perennial. It will die back to the ground, but it will come back and form a larger colony over time. A beautiful lemon-scented foliage, and it would be great in teas and again in other as garnish. So that's all I have for herbs today. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video. Please, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. You'll find it on our website. Again, thank you. My name is Andrew. Have a great day.